Chairman, I believe we have the technology linked in. You're ready to proceed.
Okay, welcome to the briefing meeting for the Utah Board of Water Resources. My name is Blaine Ipson. I'm chairman of the board. Today is Thursday, April 9th. It's 1:02 p.m. Let's start off with a roll call. Again, my name is Blaine Ipson. Board members, if you could identify yourself, please.
Wayne Anderson.
Norman Johnson.
Randy Crozier.
Jim Lemon.
Kyle Stevens.
Juliet Pennert.
Charles Holmgren.
Okay, is that everybody? We have a full quorum today with our board members. Appreciate you being here today. We also have Director Todd Adams, if you could identify yourself.
I'm here. Welcome all board members, and thank you for your time doing this. This is the first time the board has done an electronic meeting like this, and have a little bit of patience. We're going to work through this. Be ready on your mute and unmute. So when we talk, we can do that. But thank you again for your patience, and we'll get through this.
Okay, there are several others on our electronic meeting right now also, and I don't know, Todd, do we need to identify everybody that's on right now, or just when they take part in the meeting have them identify themselves? What do you think?
I think it'd be good to do a kind of a roll call.
Okay, let's just do a roll call with all the others that are on the meeting right now then.
Hi, this is Candace Hobson-Yeager, Deputy Director of Water Resources.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. This is Wendy Crowther with the Washington County Water Conservancy District. I'm here available to answer any questions that may come up with the LPP change application.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Julie Valdez, one of the Assistant Attorney Generals, and also here on the Lake Powell Pipeline application representing Water Resources.
Thank you.
Blaine, maybe the best thing is I can read the list of names off of here that's on the side.
Okay.
And it looks like Ben Merritt's here. Candace is here. Carmen's here. Craig Miller, Eric Dixon, Jacqueline Pacheco, Joel Williams, Lindsay Russell, Marcy Larson, Maurice Egbert, Marty Bushman, Paul Gedge, Randy Staker, Russell Hadley, Shalane DiBernardi, Summer Dawn Shumway, Todd Stoneley, Tom Cox, and Wendy Crowther, as she mentioned. So that's the ones that are on the phone or on the computer.
Okay, thank you. We welcome all of you here today. And of course, this, like Todd said, this is kind of a historic first on an electronic board meeting of this sort. And we're doing this under authorization with the Governor's Executive Order 2020-5 as far as the format that is going on. Utah Governor Gary Herbert gave that executive order, and that the format will be it's used in place of in-person public meetings for the time being due to COVID-19. The regular board meeting will convene at 2 o'clock. We're in the briefing meeting right now, so let's just go into the agenda on the briefing meeting. To start with, let's just go through the board agenda first and see if anybody has any questions or comments on that. Did all of you board members have a chance to review the minutes? And where the minutes would have been found was in our packet that we had. This meeting is replacing the one that was postponed that was going to take place in St. George on March 18th. Did all of you have a chance to review the minutes of the briefing meeting and board meeting that were in the packet for the March 18th meeting?
Yes, I did. This is Norman.
I did. This is Wayne.
The rest of you, did anybody have any comments on the minutes?
This is Kyle. I have a couple of comments. Just as a note, and this is on the regular session Thursday, January 23rd. The board members present, it listed those, but it didn't list Juliet as being absent and Randy being excused. Also, just as a comment for Lindsay, perhaps in the future, down at the bottom where it says others present, maybe to include the entities that those individuals are with. For example, Kay Richens is mayor of Hennepin Town, rather than just mayor, add the entity part of it there as further clarification. Same would apply with the others that are present. Just indicate what the entity is.
Okay, thank you. Did you get those comments, Lindsay? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Okay, good. Okay, the next item on our agenda that we'll be going over will be the feasibility reports. And the first one is RE 434. It's for Salem City. And Wayne, that is yours and Marisa's. So between Marisa and Wayne, do you want to take just a minute and go over that particular report? Wayne or Marisa?
I keep forgetting to click on the microphone. Marisa, you can go ahead and explain it if you want to. It doesn't matter. Maybe she's not in.
Hey, well, here you go. Mr. Chairman, maybe while we're trying to get that going, I forgot of a couple things that I'd like to do right up front. That way, some of the staff doesn't need to stay here the whole time if they don't want to. Okay. We have a couple new introductions we'd like to do. We have a new web programmer person that's on our staff that started in the middle of all of this stuff, which is, blessing to her for doing that. And I'd like Craig Miller, her manager, to introduce her.
Okay.
Good morning. We now have Summer Dawn Shumway as a new addition to Water Resources staff. She comes to us from Westminster College and fills a position formerly held by Frank Little. Summer has a number of tasks here, and her official title is Web Content Editor. She has a very interesting background, which she should tell you about herself if she's unmuted. Let's see here. So, Summer, go ahead.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
I will just be brief. I don't want to take up your time, but I am very excited to now be working for the Department of Water Resources. It is a very odd time to start, but so far everyone has been incredibly helpful in helping getting me up to speed and on board. And I really look forward to working with everyone and learning from them, and also hopefully making their lives easier. Prior to working here, I worked at Westminster College for the Center for Innovative Cultures, which is part of the School of Business. And their mission is to unleash the talent, passion, and potential of people at work. So I have a passion for that, and hopefully can help continue to foster that, because it seems like that is how they function at Water Resources. I'm excited. And before that, I worked for the Utah State Bar as a web content editor, IT support, and working with general counsel there. And I've also owned several of my own businesses. I've owned a coffee shop, commercial refrigeration, but I think that probably sort of sums me up from the work front.
Great. Welcome, Summer. Glad to have you aboard.
Thanks, Craig and Summer.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, if you'll let me, just two more things I want to bring up on some staff. As you know, we got a new director and a new deputy director, and we've been working on filling some of those positions. We've selected Todd Stonley to be the new assistant director over the planning branch to formerly replace Candace Hossenjager, who got promoted to our deputy director. And then that happened, I don't know, several weeks. It's hard to keep everything straight right now, but and then just this week, to replace Todd Stonley, Shalane DiBernardi was selected to be the new manager over the project funding section. So just wanted you to be aware of that.
Good. Appreciate that. Congratulations.
Shalane or Todd, do you want to say anything?
Oh, I'll just chime in really quick. I'm delighted to be in this capacity as assistant director and continue to work with the board in a little bit different capacity, but it'll be fun as we look at planning programs and reports. And just happy to continue the great work that the division does.
Thanks, Todd.
And I'll just say a quick thank you. Happy to continue my work with the board in a different capacity now, but so grateful to Todd Stonley for taking care of all of the details for this meeting this week. Thank you.
Thanks, Shalane. We have another board meeting coming up in May. We'll see what happens then.
Right. Okay, Marisa and Wayne, Salem City.
Okay. Salem City, the project summary is that they want to install 1,900 secondary water meters throughout their city service area. They have about 2,500 connections. 2,390 of them are residential through 72 miles of pipeline and 5 storage tanks. So that's kind of the scope of their situation. The economic feasibility benefit cost analysis would typically compare the cost of the proposal against not doing it or whatever. Municipalities and water districts that have installed secondary meters have realized some as much as 30 to 40% savings in water. So we figured that would suffice as far as justifying on an economical feasibility. The financial feasibility, the 218 median adjusted gross income for Salem City is $65,000. To determine the affordability for residential customers, the Board of Resources affordability guideline is 1.4% of the MAGI. And so that monthly cost of water is $75.83. And it looks like theirs comes out to about $74.02. So they are within the parameters on that. The city has just under 3,400 acre feet through contracts and shares of several companies. And the city also has water rights shares in other canal companies. So they've got that covered. Then based on current usage and assuming a conversion rate of 15%, the project would conserve about 265 acre feet. However, many other systems that have gone into metering have seen a much larger savings, 30 to 40%. So we would recommend that we go ahead with this project.
Do any of the board members have any questions for Wayne or Marisa on this project?
I'll just say Wayne did a great job. Can you hear me now this time?
Yes, we hear you. Yeah.
He should present at the board meeting.
There you go. Okay, so Wayne, are you prepared to make a motion then on this? Okay. Okay, great. Let's move along to RE 432. This is Davis and Weber County Canal Company. This is Kyle and then Tom Cox. This is again a feasibility.
I wasn't able to meet with Tom and Davis and Weber County's Canal Company on this one, so I'll just defer to Tom.
Okay, Davis Weber County Canal Company is back again for some more funding for a project to enclose more of their canal. They're going to enclose about 3,400 feet, and they're also going to replace about 2,900 feet of old, damaged corrugated pipe. And
Hey, Tom, could you talk a little closer to your microphone, please?
sure. So Davis Weber for money for a new project to enclose their canal. In a nutshell, the funding project cost is $6 million. They're getting about almost $2 million of Water Smart grant, and so we're recommending that the board provide 90% of the, or 85% of the non-grant amount, which is 57.4% of the total project cost. We have the staff recommendation to authorize that amount up to $3,444,000, and it'll be returned to the board at 1.71% interest over 30 years with payments of about $147,800.
Okay, great. Does any of the board members have any questions for Tom or Kyle on this project? Okay, Kyle, are you prepared to make a motion on this then?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move to committal of funds. First off would be RE 416. That's Davis and Weber Canal Company, and that's Kyle and Tom again. Same company, different project, committing funds on 416. The other one was 432.
Well, again, this is a project that we've already reviewed, and they're ready to proceed and move forward. And again, both the project that we just talked about earlier was, just as a reminder, that was one that, if you remember when we had our tour a couple of years ago, looked at the canal. It's just a continuation of what they're doing there with the lining and so forth. And this one is down in Kaysville City, providing some needed pressure on the west side of the city.
Okay, Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
That is happening a lot these days. The cost estimate has gone up just over the 2 year since it was authorized. So now we're looking at a $5 million project. The 85% cost share is the same, up to the amount of $4.25 million. The interest rate and payment period has changed just because staff has changed the way we calculate those sort of things. So the interest rate will be 2.41% over 15 years with payments of about $241,000.
Okay, good. Do any of the board members have any questions for Tom or Kyle on this project?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Would Tom restate that repayment amount? I thought he said $245,000 instead of 241,000 instead of 341.
It is 341,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good pickup, Charles. Thanks. Okay, so Kyle, are you prepared to make a motion on this one?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay, the next project is RE 422. This is M&M Irrigation Company in Sanpete County, and that's my area. They're coming in for us another loan to pipe another section of their canal. This is the same company that a year or two ago asked for a deferral due to the drought on making a payment. And there's been some concern on my part anyway, and on their part as well, of their ability to make their payments on this. And so Jacqueline followed the board's guidelines and came up with a proposal she'll go over in just a minute. And M&M irrigation company's officials have heartburn over where they can make that payment. So I had Jacqueline come up with some alternative payment to lower the payment on the new one a little bit until they get the other one paid off. And so this one's going to have a little bit of a twist to it. So Jacqueline, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, so this project was authorized back in June of last year, and it's just replaced 3.5 miles of canal with 30-inch pipe. As Blaine had mentioned, they are coming before the board to request modification of terms. They currently have another project that they're repaying, and it'll be repaid in 12 years. So they're going to propose to reduce their payment. It was what I had recommended to the board was going to be 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $35,000. But they wanted to reduce they wanted us to reduce the payment for 12 years so they can pay off that first project. And then for the remainder of the 13 years, their repayment will increase to $54,300, and for the first 12 years, it'll be $15,000. Is what they would like to request from the board.
So do any of you what are your thoughts with lowering their payment for the first few years on their second loan so that they'll be able to make their payments? Does anybody have any problem with what they're proposing of starting off rather than the 35.5 going to 15 until they get their other loan paid off and then increase it?
Mr. Chair, I'm normally pretty conservative on this sort of thing, and it worries me a little bit that, we've made some accommodations in the past for this particular project. However, I think just given the economic situation, I'm very comfortable on being flexible on this.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable with this arrangement? Being as you're directly involved with them.
With the payment that it would be following the guidelines, I think we would be deferring again. I do feel comfortable with the lower payment initially. If we left it the way it is, I would be very concerned.
Well, if you feel comfortable with the new payment schedule, I don't have any problem with it either.
Okay. Any other comments on or concerns or questions?
This is Kyle. I would have the same feelings, but at what point in time are we going to discuss the proposed information that Todd, you mentioned, or sent out some information that the state is doing, looking at deferred payments based on current conditions?
We'll talk about it in the other agenda items.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Juliet, would you feel comfortable making a motion on that where that's in the area I represent?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Would it help to restate that just to make sure it's clear? Because Blaine, you said that you had 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever made up. So let's just make sure we got the right one.
Yeah, well, I think, Jacqueline, you sent me an email with some language, but if I just have the specific language that ties to what we've talked about on the top of my inbox, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and resend it right now.
Great.
Yeah, what we talked about, Todd, was a $10,000 a year repayment initially, a $15,000, a 20, and a 25, and decided to go with the $15,000 option.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move along to RE 423, Riverton City. That'd be Russell and Juliet.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you hear me okay? All right.
Just barely.
Hey,
Speak into your mic a little bit more.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me pretty well?
That's better, yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Riverton City, they're going to install secondary meters on all 10,200 connections in the city. It's estimated this will conserve about 3,000 acre feet to help them get through build-out connections for the city. They're going to build it over 3 years with about a third of the meters installed per year. And since the project was authorized, they've gotten an additional $1.5 million Water Smart grant. And if you look at the cost sharing, the board's cost share doesn't change, and the city's cost share doesn't change. And the cost is gone up a little bit by $1.5 million. And so the board is being asked to fund the original amount, $11,985,000. And as you can see, the repayments remain as authorized. The board providing $11,985,000 to be returned at 1% interest over 15 years, payments of $929,000, including reserves. And the city might want to thank the board. They just feel like without the 1% money from the board, they couldn't have made this happen through the city council or their citizens. And we've already got they've got everything taken care of. The bond closing is scheduled for later this month, and they've awarded the first bids. First 8 sections are going to go in, and those have been awarded, and they're ready to go. That is staff's report.
Juliet, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think we talked about this project. Everything runs together, so I can't remember which meeting it was, but we talked about this project in the past, and I feel really good about it. I think there was some questioning around like the cost of installation and like if there was any like difficulty or challenge there, and Russell really has validated, if I remember, that like it's not really complicated installations, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm glad that we're moving on this.
Okay, do any of the board members have any questions for Russell or Juliet on this?
Just for Russell, can you so in the same thing, just so I want to have the motions like right up next to like my screen on while we're in the meeting. If you could just send me the motion in my email, so it's on the top, I'd appreciate that. If you could.
Yes, I could. We'll have the board presentation will be up on the screen.
It should. Okay. All right.
Yes, it will be.
Hopefully it will be up. I just want like triple checking. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I don't know why I'm so nervous about it.
I will email it to you as well.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, some famous board member told me earlier that being a pilot like he is, it always helps to have backup plans.
Good. Okay. Good. Okay. You make me feel a little better. Good.
Okay, Juliet, are you prepared to make a motion on this then?
I am. Thank you. Okay. I will be.
Okay. Okay, we have 2 special items. There's RE 435, and this is an authorization and committal of funds both for Bear River Canal Company. Charles, you and Ben have this one.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This project is one that is greatly appreciated by Bear River Canal Company. Appreciate Ben and the board helping us out with a situation on the end of what is referred to as Hammond East Canal, which is just north of Brigham City and runs up to Honeyville through what are mostly gravel pits. And, you know, trying to run water through gravel pits, water tends to disappear. And we've got a lot of good cooperation from the water users that are served in this area. They are going to be the primary individuals that repay this loan. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ben. And again, I appreciate all the extra effort Ben has put forth for the canal company to work on this project.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Ben.
So this is a different project with the Bear River Canal. This is a brand new project with the Bear River Canal Company, apart from the other ones that the board has entered into in the past couple of years. With this project, there is an old concrete canal liner that is heavily damaged and undersized, and they are looking to replace about 2,000 feet of this old concrete liner with some pipe. They're also going to install a weir and some telemetry equipment And then the pipe is going to terminate. It's going to connect to another pipeline that's already installed in the canal. In the presentation, I'll have some photos and things to show you of the canal liner. Also, it should be noted by the board, this project was on the agenda for the March meeting, which was canceled. But they had, because of the scheduling with their contractor, they had to go ahead and begin the project. They received permission from Chairman Ibsen and also Charles Holmgren, who is their board member, to go ahead and proceed without jeopardizing their eligibility for funding on the project. So they have already begun, even though they have not received authorization for the project. I think that's about everything that I've got until the board meeting, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions for Ben or Charles?
Mr. Chairman, this is Charles. This is going to be a conflict of interest for me. So I'm wondering if Randy Crozier would make the motion if he's amenable to that.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, so Randy will make that motion. Good. Thank you. Okay, let's go to RC 057, Farron Canal and Reservoir Company. They're going to be requesting additional funds. That would be you, Norm and Tom.
Norm, let me jump in first and apologize for not keeping you up to date on this. It seems like it's been changing minute by minute, but if you want to.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know really much about this project. I have not been able to get up there and see it, so.
Well, go ahead and kind of give a summary then. The Farron Canal and Reservoir Company has a dam upgrade project for their Millside Dam. The construction started in 2017 and was supposed to be over by December of 2018, and it is not. They have run into some problems. There was a deficiency in the spillway design. One thing, it's taken the contractor a lot longer to do the work for another. And so between those and other change orders and the extra engineering charges, because it's taken a lot longer, the cost has increased. When the board committed funds, it was assumed that there would be enough NRCS funding to pay for all of the engineering and 65% of the project construction costs. Because of that, if you look on your packet, the report, the engineering expenses were not included in the cost estimate when it was presented to the board previously. The NRCS has told us that they don't have a lot of extra money right now over the almost $20.1 million that they've already committed. And so it's estimated that about $6,370,000 additional board funds will be needed. We don't have that much dam safety grant money at this time, and we need the funding for the project to finish. And so we're proposing that today the board commit an additional $3 million in dam safety grants, and the dam owner has agreed to take on a low interest loan for the $3,370,000. It's kind of a bridge loan until those dam safety grants are available. So that's what we'll be proposing today. So the project cost has jumped from $27.2 million to $37.2 million. The board's cost share will increase from 31.5% of the project cost up to 40.2% of the project cost. And we're proposing that this be taken care of in two resolutions from the board. The first one addressing the grant money, and the second one addressing the loan. And so you can see it there. And Norm, on the presentation, those resolutions are broken up into two different paragraphs, so it's not such a one long, confusing thing.
Okay, I just have it on one paragraph.
Yeah, but on the presentation, when we're in the board meeting, it will be broken out into two.
Okay.
So you'll want two separate motions. Vote on each motion independently, correct?
Right.
So Norm, you'll have to make sure you break those up.
Okay, I'll do my honest best.
Okay. Do any of you board members have questions for Norm or for Tom on this?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. As I recall, when we first funded this, I thought NRCS was proposing to provide engineering, and maybe I have it confused with other projects that NRCS has been involved with. I don't know if Tom could clarify that for me. I mean, it doesn't make a difference, but it's kind of a curiosity for me.
That was the intent, and we were thinking that things are going along fine until I believe it was in December, we had sent in a request for payment on engineering, and the NRCS told us that their engineering money was gone. And so,
Is that when Mr. Roger Barton got involved?
I know he's on the board. I'm not sure exactly when he got involved.
Yeah, I talked to him on the phone. So.
Does that help, Charles?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this project? Okay, just a house cleaning item or two, especially when we go into the next few items, and it may happen on these other things too. We're going to, as we go through the agenda, work our way through. We'll go through the agenda. We'll have the presentation by staff. Then I'll call for questions from the board member. And then this is not a public hearing per se. This is a public meeting. And so the public is not going to have a chance to give input over the phone or online like we're doing now. They were supposed to, any comments on any of these items on the agenda were supposed to be submitted electronically through the email. My understanding is that we don't have any yet, but I will ask after we get through with each one of these, if we received any public comments on this. Randy Staker has been coordinating that effort, and he'll reply, and if there were any public comments, he will read the public comments into the record. Again, we don't have to take public comments, but we want to see what the public might say before we call for a board motion or a board vote. Does that make sense? So when the presentation's done, you board members that are making motions, don't jump right into making a motion. We need to ask, I'll ask first if there were any comments received through the email on it before we have our discussion and do a vote.
And Blaine? Oh,
go ahead, Shalane.
I was just going to say, and then you might want to also ask if anyone present with the applicant wishes to say something before the board votes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we definitely want to do that also. Right after the presentation, probably before the board asks questions, I would assume.
Okay, and then just one other housekeeping thing. This is probably for staff and others that have made comments in the comment component. That becomes part of the record also. So everything that you type there will be shown in the record. So just be careful of what we're doing there.
I also have a quick housekeeping item. We will have a bunch of people joining the meeting in the next little while. And we have a staff member coordinating and admitting those people. So please don't admit anyone to the meeting so that person can keep track of who's entering the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, and I thought that I would just when we get to each agenda item, each report, just at that point, have those who are there representing like Salem City introduce themselves, and Davis and Weber County, just as we're going along each of those things, identify themselves at that point also.
That would be good. And Blaine, just so you're aware, we've had a couple other people jumped on this one. I think Trevor Nielsen jumped on.
Okay.
Let's see, who else? Chris Slater, I think, did for a second. I think that's it for now.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Wayne.
I received a phone call this morning. I don't know if Marissa's heard of this or not, from Midway Irrigation Company, and they were going to email me a funding application. And when we get through with our board meeting, I'll copy that funding application, sign it, and then probably fax it up to the office.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that would be fine. We won't cover that in this particular meeting where we don't have it.
No,
but
that'd be
great.
I'm not sure if Marissa is aware of that or whatever, so I wanted to make her aware of that.
Okay, great. Okay, we're down to 18 minutes before the regular board meeting starts, and we still have some big things coming. So Marcy is going to talk to us about the Governor's Water Conservation Team, a proposed interlocal agreement. So if we can just jump into that, Marcy, and let's try and be quick because we've got a couple other biggies too.
All right, wonderful. So this interlocal agreement is something that we have already been party to. We just review and update it every 5 years. This is for the Governor's Water Conservation Team in regards to the water efficiency statewide campaign. The parties involved are the Utah Division of Water Resources, along with 7 other agencies. We have a budget of $300,000 annually, and each party pays an annual amount based on their population served or represented. However, Bear River Water Conservancy District's contribution is fixed at $4,300, and the Utah Division of Water Resources is fixed at $75,000. And we're hoping that the board will approve and adopt this interlocal agreement.
And that will be just to clarify, that will be for me to sign, and then we'll work with the districts to do that.
Yeah.
And hopefully all you board members have taken an opportunity to read through this agreement and all that. I visited with Kyle a little bit earlier today, and Kyle is willing to make a motion on this. Are you still willing to do that, Kyle?
Yes, I will be prepared to do that.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Lake Powell Pipeline report. And normally Joel talks Lake Powell Pipeline, but we've got a special thing today that has taken a lot of work by a lot of people on the change application for the water right for that pipeline. So Shalene is going to give a presentation. Is there anybody else going to report on this, or is it just the change application?
Today, it is just the change application, and my presentation is super short, just a very quick summary about what the water right is and what we'd like you to do. So I'll read a paragraph about what it is and why we have the change application, and then I'll read the motion, which is that the board approve the change application as written and authorize the chairman to sign and file the change application with the state engineer's office. So we do have the attorneys here to answer questions if any of the board members have questions, but that is all I plan to do today.
And that's been a lot of work by a lot of people. There's been a lot of legal counsel involved. I personally have sat in on several meetings. There's been a lot go into this change application. And hopefully all you board members took opportunity to read through the change application. Do any of you have any questions that you'd like to ask those who have been involved?
Seemed pretty straightforward to me.
They
Thank
put
you,
a-
Norm. Yes,
they-
that means the attorneys did their job well.
Well,
We
there was a
hope.
lot of effort. There was a ton of effort put into this. I can vouch for that, being on the sidelines watching. So we appreciate all those who put effort into this, and of course the public comment period on this, basically once a change application is filed, it's advertised, and I'm sure there will be hearings, and there will. The process is just beginning. This is just authorization to file it. The main other things will come after filing.
And this will be your approval, the board's approval for our chairman to sign this application along with the districts to submit this to the Division of Water Rights.
Any question or comments on that?
It's the board's permission to start the fight.
Yeah. I visited with Jim this morning on that. And Jim, are you still willing to make a motion to authorize the filing of this change application?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. Great. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up on the change application? Okay, director's report. Todd?
All right, let me get unmuted. Just a couple things that we'll give you real quick. We have awesome staff at Water Resources. First and foremost, let me thank them for all their hard work in getting this meeting going. I think I said that once already. I'm going to say it again. They've done an awesome job. Hello?
That sounded better.
Something's got some feedback.
Yeah, somebody must be
Okay.
not muted.
Anyway, let me state that again. Just our staff's done a yeoman's work in getting this board meeting up and going, and thanks to them and all that have worked on it. In light of the COVID, in light of the earth shaking and quaking around here, it's been really crazy. So thank you for all of their efforts and all of their teleworking from home. It's amazing what can get done.
Todd, we've got problems. There's a lot of feedback, Todd. I'm not understanding anything.
Okay. Do I need to talk slower?
There, I understood that.
Okay, others are saying they're not getting any feedback. So anyway, kudos to staff for getting this. We are keeping the office open. We've got 1 or 2 people, 3 people here at the office most all the time, but we're all available by phone, by computer, by any method that you want. Just a couple real quick things of other items to discuss. We talked a little bit about the dam safety program, and because of the Farron Canal mill site project, we've been unsuccessful the last couple of years in trying to find additional funds for dam safety projects. One thing that I thought about a little bit in light of not getting additional funds one way or the other is to start considering going to a 20 or an 80-20 split where we provide 80% of the funds and the locals the 20%. That way it would take our money a little bit further. It would put some additional requirements on the local owners. We have heard some rumors about some transfer of some reservoirs in the state, and that they think they will get a better deal at the state rather than the feds. And so that's another reason where I got thinking about maybe we need to reconsider what we're doing there. With that said, I don't know what's the best thing to do, but at least our little bit of money would go a little bit further. So I want you to just think about that. The second thing I sent all of you is the permanent community impact board policy on the COVID-19 emergency funding and for the state of an emergency or whatever. And I just sent it to you that I want you to start thinking about it. If it be the will of the board, you could direct staff to go back and prepare a policy similar to this. So if we do get requests to be able to do loan forgiveness for a year or modify payments or what in light of the types of requests that are out there. So that's why I sent it to you, just so you could see what the CIB. Kyle, I believe you're on the CIB, right?
I am, and I was a party to that discussion last week when they proposed that and passed it by the board. And so it is something that we're going to need to consider, I believe.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm, if you're willing to give us the direction, we'll go and work on that and prepare something for you to approve in the May meeting.
Board members, what are your thoughts? Anybody that is not willing to authorize staff to prepare a proposal for the May meeting? Is there anybody who would be against that? Sounds to me like, Mr. Director, Todd, why don't you go ahead and prepare something then?
We will do that. We'll have it prepared for the May, I believe it's May 14th meeting. So.
Yes.
Yep. That's all the other items that I have to chat about right now. We're getting down to about 7 minutes before the next meeting. I wonder if we'd be best to shut the briefing meeting down and be ready for the board meeting here in 6-7 minutes. So,
does anybody have any last minute things for the briefing meeting you want to cover? If not, why don't we shut the briefing meeting down then, and in 7 minutes be prepared to go into the regular board meeting. Thank you, everyone.
This keeps us logged in, right?
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Yeah, don't go anyplace.